Every strong brand has a successful image and a strong story behind it, a powerful story. When you think of the Red Cross, or you see the Red Cross logo, what do you think of? For me, I think of the Red Cross being there when you need them most. I think of the Red Cross helping a young family restore their home after an earthquake. I think of the Red Cross providing life-saving blood for those who are in a desperate need and in a surgery to save their lives. The Red Cross is there as a good neighbor, and when you see their logo, you know the story behind it. Now, what do you think about when you see the Adidas logo? For me, I think of success on the football field. I think of triumph and athletic performance. And I also think impossible is nothing. When I think of Rotary in Brazil, I think of this project that was put together in a rural part of the Sao Paulo state. You see, mothers who were pregnant and going into premature labor were going to the local hospital. And they were being turned away because there were not enough incubators. Because there were not enough incubators, they had to be transferred to another hospital. Many mothers were losing their babies. So the two Rotary clubs in the area, they heard about this and they decided to take action. They combined with some Rotary clubs in Japan. They got a substantial grant from the Rotary Foundation, and they completely expanded the neonatal care unit at that hospital, more than doubling the capacity. So when I read about this story in the Rotary magazine, I realized this is a great story for us to highlight in our People of Action campaign. So we went down there to capture the story on video for the People of Action ad campaign. When I got there, I talked to a mother whose baby had been born prematurely and who was able to be saved. She told me how Rotary had saved her baby. But I also learned too from the Rotary clubs when talking to them that this project really resonated with the community. They got a lot of media coverage. They also did a substantial public image campaign to emphasize to mothers that you should seek prenatal care if you're pregnant, and that they had an opportunity to get great care at the local hospital. As a result, because of this, people in the community started to associate the Rotary clubs there with saving mothers and children. That was the story they saw. When they saw the Rotary wheel, that's the story that came to their mind. Their profile elevated, and the two Rotary clubs were able to grow in membership as a result. This is the power of a good story. Now, how did all this storytelling become so important? It's both a key strategy for both corporations and for nonprofit or membership organizations like ourselves. Well, I'm from Chicago, and I love the fact that in many ways, this approach originated with Nike and with Michael Jordan. Nike realized that they were not able to compete with other shoe manufacturers just by talking about the product. Instead, because shoes were a commodity, they needed to tell a story behind the shoes. So they focused on Michael Jordan. And they told a story about Michael and his achievements. They came up with a slogan, "Just do it." And what they told was a story about Michael and his personality in achieving this excellence. It wasn't about the shoes. It was about what you could accomplish in the shoes. So you could emulate Michael Jordan. You could be like Mike if you wore a pair of Air Jordans. As a result, as we all know, Nike became an incredibly successful company and one of the most strongest brands in the globe. And as a result, nonprofit organizations, others use this approach. So why is storytelling important for Rotary? It's very simple, pretty much everything. It's important because it allows us to get more visibility in our community. A powerful story allows us to make more connections, to get more members, to get more donors to our projects. And in addition, it allows us to get more partners. And that's what it is all about for our organization. But here's the thing though. Storytelling alone will not build our brand. You see, brands are made up of both the stories we tell and the experience behind that brand. If we were to tell the best story possible, and then people come to our clubs and the experience does not match the story, then we are damaging our brand. This is why the action plan is so critical to building our brand. The action plan, implemented by every Rotary Club in the world, would allow us to have a stronger Rotary experience. If every Rotary Club made an emphasis on expanding their reach so that we could better reflect the communities in which we serve. If every Rotary Club made an effort to choose at least one project that had measurable impact in their communities. If every Rotary Club made sure that their Rotary experience allowed people to make connections, network, have great relationships, lifelong relationships, allow them to mentor others in the community. If every Rotary Club made a point of using the latest technology so that we can adapt and reach a broader audience, we would have a stronger brand. And when we have a stronger brand, we have a stronger story to tell. So I'm going to make it simple in terms of what every Rotary Club in this zone could do to build our brand. First, there's 4 strategies that you can use to tell your story. The first one is use your voice. Use your brand ambassadors. Use events as an opportunity to expand your reach. And then finally, focus on the experience in Rotary. So what does use your voice mean? What it means is telling the story of Rotary as an organization that brings people together, that uses our relationships and connections to identify how can we make our communities better and then take action. Telling that story of people of action is so important. We need to use every communications tool we can to make that happen. So that means using media coverage, social media, your club newsletter, your website. Everything needs to be focused both to an internal audience and then also to the broader public. And telling a good story means using good visuals. And that means using our logo correctly. Too often, Rotary, youth clubs, and others use our logo incorrectly. And there is not a successful brand out there in the world that doesn't value their logo, protect their logo, and insist that it is used correctly every single time. The second strategy is really focused on using your brand ambassadors. And that means, of course, every member of your club and every participant. The issue that's out there is sometimes our brand ambassadors don't know how to tell our story. So take the time, work with your club members to work on how we can tell the story of People of Action, so we can leverage our brand ambassadors the best way possible. We have to remember, we were essentially the first social network. We completely rely on people-to-people, word-of-mouth communication. You can't join Rotary unless you are invited. So using our brand ambassadors to do that, to reach out to people, is absolutely critical. And social media makes it even more easier. Now, brand ambassadors doesn't just mean our club members. We should be looking for local notables, such as politicians, or thought leaders, or celebrities. We should be looking for them to tell our story as well. It's one thing for us to continue to tell our story to a broader public, and we need to do that. But it's even better when other people talk about us and the great things that we do. So use that tool. The third strategy to tell your story is using events. Events are an opportunity to reach a broader public. So maximize them. When you have a project dedication, if you have a public event, if you have a high-profile speaker in your club, make sure you use that opportunity to talk to the broader public beyond Rotary. The World Polio Day is a great example of an event that you could take advantage of to tell our story. Now, I'm proud to be here on the stage in Brazil and just thank everyone here for the fact that there is not a country in the world that does more for World Polio Day than here in Brazil. Rotary clubs are so active on that day. But we need to get to the point where 100% of Rotary clubs are doing something to tell the story of how Rotary, a nonprofit organization, had the audacity to say that we could end the disease forever. We assembled a partnership, and then we're going to make that sure that we get that job done. The fourth strategy is recognizing that the brand experience needs to be strong. So focus on improving your club experience. Hold a mirror up to your club. Recognize what are the things that make your club effective. The ability to network, have relationships, and get things done. Because brand is only as strong as the experience you have within the club. So when you go tell your story, we have a number of resources at RI to help you out. The one that I'm most proud of is the Rotary Brand Center. The Brand Center is your one-stop shop to get all the assets you need to tell your story. That includes more than 1,000 photos professionally taken around the world that you're free to use. Video, many of which you've seen here over the last few days. It's got, of course, our logo, our brand guidelines. It has the ability to adapt People of Action ads for your club. The Brand Center is a great resource. We just overhauled it to great reviews last year, and I urge you to use that tool to tell your story. The other tool, if you have a responsibility in your club of being part of communications for your club, the other tool that's really critical is our Learning Center. We have a wealth of Learning Center courses that help you talk about how to build your brand, how to tell your story. And I urge you to use that as well. Now, of course, some of our best resources are human resources. So I urge you to connect with the Rotary Public Image Coordinator in this zone and the assistants. They are there to help you tell your story. And we have a communications person in the Brazil office who is there to help you tell your story when you need it. Reach out to her, and she can help. So, I remember the last day of that video shoot that we had for that neonatal care unit in the Sao Paulo state. I remember talking to a Rotary Club member towards the end of the video shoot. And she said to me that Rotary is all about bringing people together and then taking action to bring hope and opportunity where there is none. I thought that was well said. And we need to tell the story about how we did that. Thank you very much. Obrigado.